break female CEO mocked a janitor dad, but his genius shocked everyone. True story. Welcome back to my channel, the narrator began, the screen fading in from black to the soaring glass facade of Helix Corp, a titan of the tech world. Inside this shimmering tower of ambition, stress hummed like an invisible electricity. Executives marched through the hallways with clipped steps, eyes glued to tablets, and interns scurry in their shadows trying not to trip over their own anxiety. But somewhere among the polished shoes and luxury suits moved a quieter presence. Samuel Lawson, the janitor dad whose story no one imagined would shake the company to its core. Samuel was the kind of man people overlooked, not because he lacked dignity, but because he carried it too quietly. His gray uniform, neatly pressed though faded at the elbows, blended into the background of Helix Corp's marble floors. His gentle eyes held a depth no one bothered to read. At dawn, when the building was still stretching awake, Samuel pushed his cleaning cart through corridors filled with whispers of billion-dollar deals. But for him, every step had purpose. Everything he did, every shift, every long night, was for his daughter, Lily. She was only 9, bright as sunlight, and Samuel was determined to give her a life where dreams didn't feel like impossible luxuries. However, not everyone appreciated his presence, especially not Vanessa Crane. Vanessa, the CEO of Helix Corp, was known for two things: her razor-sharp intelligence and her even sharper tongue. Her stiletto heels clicked against the marble like a countdown before disaster. Employees stiffened when she approached, afraid that the wrong glance or incorrect greeting might result in a verbal dissection. One morning, as Samuel mopped the main lobby, Vanessa stormed out of the elevator with her assistant trailing behind her like a panicked shadow. She didn't see Samuel at first, not until her heels skidded slightly on the freshly cleaned floor. Her eyes snapped toward him, icy and cutting. "Careful, janitor," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Some of us are trying to run a billion-dollar company. Maybe don't ruin our productivity with your presence." Her assistant's eyes lightened. Samuel simply stepped back, offering a polite nod. "Sorry, ma'am, didn't mean to be in the way." Vanessa scoffed. "You always are." People nearby watched the exchange with sympathy, but none dared to intervene. That was the unspoken rule at Helix Corp. Survive Vanessa's storm or be swept out with the debris. What none of them knew was that Samuel had once worked in a very different world, one filled with circuits, algorithms, and groundbreaking inventions. Before tragedy reshaped his life, he had been a respected engineer with patents under his name. But when his wife passed unexpectedly, Samuel abandoned everything except what mattered most: keeping Lily safe, fed, and smiling. Engineering jobs demanded long hours and constant travel. Janitorial work, though humble, allowed him to be there for her. Still, Samuel's mind never stopped analyzing. Even as he swept floors, he listened to meetings. Even as he emptied trash cans, he read abandoned reports. And even as he polished windows, he overheard conversations about Helix Corp's most urgent crisis. Their new AI project, a multi-million-dollar gamble, was failing. No one could pinpoint the cause. Investors were pulling away. The board was restless. And Vanessa, though she barked confidence, was terrified of the impending collapse. That morning, after her cutting remark, Samuel returned to the hallway outside the R&D lab. Through the glass, he saw the engineering team huddled around the malfunctioning AI core. Their voices rose, overlapping in frustration. "It boots, then crashes again." "This shouldn't be possible. The system was stable last quarter." "We've checked the hardware 3 times." Samuel paused with his mop in hand, eyes narrowing slightly as he watched the error sequence repeating on a monitor. Something about the pattern sparked a memory, an old debugging issue he'd encountered years ago. He didn't step inside or say a word, but a thought settled in his mind like a seed. They're looking in the wrong place. And while Vanessa dismissed him as nothing more than a janitor, the truth was about to unfold in a way she could never have predicted. During his night shift, when the building exhaled into silence and the bustling chaos of the day melted into stillness, Samuel found himself slowing his routine near the R&D wing. Most employees had gone home, their exhausted whispers replaced by the faint hum of servers and the rhythmic buzzing of the AI core room. Helix Corp, a behemoth during the day, became almost peaceful at night. To Samuel, it felt like the building dropped its mask. No ambitious egos, no sharp remarks, no judgment, just circuits, wires, and the quiet that allowed thinking to breathe. He parked his cleaning cart against the wall and glanced through the glass window into the tightly restricted lab. Inside, glowing screens cast soft blue light, dancing over the metallic structure of the AI core, Helix 1. The company's pride, the project that was supposed to rewrite the future of automation, and the very thing that was dragging Helix Corp into crisis. As Samuel moved closer, a flickering line of text caught his eye on the main diagnostic display. He froze. That loop, he'd seen something like it before, years ago. A recursive instruction, endlessly calling itself without resolution. Simple in nature, devastating in function. He felt his heart thud. That wasn't a hardware error. It wasn't even a complex algorithmic failure. It was a logic loop buried deep within the command structure, an oversight so subtle that even experienced engineers could easily miss it, especially if they assumed the problem was mechanical. A part of him wanted to walk away. He had no business touching equipment worth more than everything he owned. But another part, the engineer he'd tried to bury, wouldn't let him. That part whispered, "You can fix this." Samuel hesitated only a moment before stepping inside the lab. The door wasn't locked. After all, who expected a janitor to break protocol? He approached the diagnostics table, wiping sweat from his palms. Someone had left a tablet open, its screen glowing with code and debugging tools. Samuel picked it up gingerly, almost reverently. As he scrolled through the digital maze, his mind shifted gears effortlessly, recalling years of experience, muscle memories firing back into place. He started sketching a patch, first on paper he salvaged from the recycling bin, then on the tablet itself. His fingers moved steadily, confidently. It felt strange, like revisiting a part of himself he had abandoned but never truly lost. He paced as he formulated the solution, occasionally glancing at the AI core. One line of code, he knew, could stabilize the entire system. One correction, one truth no one else had seen. When he finished writing the patch, he took a step back and let out a shaky breath. He didn't implement it. That would be crossing too many lines. Instead, he saved it on the tablet under a separate note and placed it neatly on the main console, hoping someone might find it. The next morning arrived abruptly. Samuel had barely finished cleaning the executive floor when Vanessa Crane stormed toward the R&D lab, her sharp heels drilling into the floor like accusations. Her assistant struggled to keep up, juggling files and tablets. Inside the lab, the engineering team had resumed their frantic troubleshooting, but the moment Vanessa entered, silence rippled outward like shockwaves. "Well," she demanded, "is my AI still broken, or have one of you geniuses finally done your job?" No one answered. That was when Vanessa noticed Samuel standing near the corner, holding his mop. Her eyes narrowed. "Why are you in here?" she snapped. "You have no reason, no permission to be anywhere near this room." Samuel, steady as ever, reached for the tablet he'd left the night before. "I found something," he said softly. "Your AI isn't broken. The issue is a recursive logic loop. I wrote a patch you can try." For a second, the room froze. Then, Vanessa laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. "A janitor wrote a patch? Do you even know what you're saying? My team has spent months on this." Her engineer shifted uncomfortably, but Vanessa didn't allow them time to speak. Samuel simply handed the tablet to Anders, the lead engineer, a man with tired eyes but an open mind. "Take a look," Samuel urged gently. Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically. Fine, let him humor himself. But Anders wasn't laughing. His eyes scanned the patch, widened, then scanned it again. His jaw slackened. "Vanessa," he whispered, "he's right. This is brilliant." Before she could protest, Anders uploaded the patch into a test environment. The AI core flickered, hummed, and then stabilized with a bright, steady glow for the first time in months. A stunned silence filled the room, Vanessa's face drained of color. Samuel just stood there, humble, calm, unaware that he had just changed everything. Word of Samuel's late-night discovery spread through Helix Corp like wildfire. Quiet at first, whispered among engineers who couldn't believe a janitor had solved what an entire department couldn't. Then louder as the board members began demanding answers. And finally public when the company's overnight recovery sparked industry rumors. A new narrative took shape. The corporation saved not by its high-ranking executives, but by the humble janitor with a forgotten genius. By the time Samuel arrived for his next shift, everything felt different. People who once brushed past him now offered warm nods, curious smiles, even hesitant respect. The head of HR nearly tripped rushing to greet him. "Mr. Lawson, the board wants to meet you," she said breathlessly, "immediately." Samuel blinked. "Me?" "Yes, you," she said, as if she couldn't believe it herself. "Your work, your patch, it saved Helix One." He followed her into the executive conference room, a place he'd only ever entered to wipe tables or vacuum floors. Today, he entered as a guest of honor. The long glass table reflected wide eyes and impressed faces. People who barely knew he existed now leaned forward as if he held the secrets of the universe. At the head of the table sat Vanessa Crane. Her usual commanding presence seemed dented, her shoulders stiff, but her gaze not quite as sharp, perhaps even uneasy. "Samuel," she began, voice steady but lacking its usual dominance, "we've reviewed the engineering logs from last night." She swallowed hard, an unusual display of humility for her. "Your patch corrected a flaw our entire team failed to identify." The room murmured in agreement. Samuel stood calmly, hands clasped in front of him. "I just saw something familiar," he said. "I used to do engineering work. I never meant to cause disruption." "You caused salvation," one of the board members said with a small smile. "If that AI had gone offline any longer, our investors would have walked." Another chimed in. "We'd like to offer you a full-time engineering position, senior level, with salary and benefits appropriate to your skill set." Samuel felt his breath catch. It was everything he once dreamed of, everything he thought he'd lost forever. But Lily's face flashed in his mind, her smile, her laughter, her trust. All these years, he put stability first for her sake. "I'd be honored," he said quietly, "and grateful." Relief swept across the room. Applause followed. Later that afternoon, Samuel was invited to his new office. It wasn't extravagant, but it was his. A desk, a computer, a window overlooking the city. Simple, but symbolic. He wished Lily could see it. As if summoned by his thoughts, his phone buzzed. "Dad, are you done? Can I come visit?" Samuel smiled. That was all the permission he needed. When Lily arrived, her small sneakers pattered across the polished floor. Her eyes widened at the office plaque. "Samuel Lawson, Senior Systems Engineer." "Daddy," she squealed, throwing her arms around him. "You got promoted." He laughed, lifting her into his arms. "I did, and it's all for you." She cupped his face in her hands. "Because you're the smartest daddy ever." Her words warmed him more than any promotion ever could. But the moment was interrupted when Vanessa appeared in the doorway. For once, she didn't look intimidating. She looked human. "Samuel," she said softly, "may I speak with you?" Her gaze flicked toward Lily. "Is this your daughter?" Samuel nodded. "This is Lily." Vanessa knelt slightly, her tone surprisingly gentle. "Hi, Lily. Your dad is very talented. We're lucky to have him." Lily smiled politely before running to admire a plant in the corner of the office. Vanessa straightened, then turned to Samuel with a long exhale. "I misjudged you," she admitted, "and I shouldn't have spoken to you the way I did." Her eyes wavered. "I was stressed, but that doesn't justify disrespect." Samuel studied her carefully before nodding. "Thank you. That means a lot." A silence lingered, not awkward, but understanding. a shift in perspective. "You've earned your place here," she said firmly, "not because of a mistake we made, but because of the brilliance you brought." Samuel smiled softly. "Genius can come from anywhere." Vanessa nodded. "Including a janitor, apparently." As she left, Lily tugged Samuel's sleeve. "Daddy, can I tell my teacher you're a real engineer now?" He knelt, hugging her tight. "Tell her whatever you want, but remember, your worth isn't in a title. It's in who you are." The video narrator's voice returned as the scene faded out. So, if you're watching this, remember, never underestimate someone based on their job, because sometimes the person sweeping the floor is the one who saves the entire company.